Alright guys, I know there's quite a few people out there who are trying to figure out, what all I did for this build. This is just kind of a run through of what's going on. So, first thing to start off with is the 16G turbo. It's the big 16G. I can't seem to find a small 16G, but basically stock manifold. We had cut and welded. Well, there was a T25 flange on there already, but realized that it wasn't going to fit because it was going to originally be a bottom mount turbo, and the AC compressor down there was going to occupy the same space as the compressor housing, which was no good. So stock manifold, cut, and welded this little box onto it. Doesn't flow very well, but we are currently working on a solution for it. We're going to be building a ram style, or not a ram style, a log style manifold. That's going to place the turbo in about the same place so everything else bolts on. Alright, next thing, oil and coolant supply. So the oil feed line, the coolant feed, coolant return down there, which you can't really see, and the oil return, the oil return fitting, that is from a 1G DSM 1G. I don't want to say turbo because it's not really a turbo. It's just a setup, I guess. Custom, coolant extenders down to there, which works pretty well. We had put a little thing on it to make sure that it fit all the way. Then the oil return is basically an all-purpose heater hose, which basically can do coolant, can do PCV, as you see up there, and it can do oil and fuel as well. So that's kind of cool. Alright, moving on. Charge pipe. It's a J pipe off of a 1G DSM as well. And have a few things that we've done to it. We've had to rotate the pipe a little bit to try and get it to fit into the space that we needed. Had some couplers for that. Then went down. Don't mind the zip ties. We're still kind of figuring stuff out. And then down there, all the way through, to Mishimoto Z-Line intercooler, custom bracketry. Obviously I need to redo it a little bit. And it comes up over here, got a HKS SSQV blow-off valve, which is one that I had on my old setup, which is basically stock turbo with all that. And I come up here, custom, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a little plate for the IAT sensor to sit on, which is, kind of cool. Then all the way up to the, just want to make sure, yep, all the way up to the throttle body. Alright, so that's intercooler piping. Intake piping, use the same K&N that I had, swapped filters with a buddy of mine. And then we have this awesomely done, not really, awesomely done intake piping. Sorry, motorcycles are starting to come out now. Then you're trying to use the stock boost control solenoid kind of thing. We have this going into the intake, that going into the wastegate, and then you have one that goes into the charge pipe. The descriptions for those will be on cruzetalk.com when I eventually get a write-up in, which I'm trying my hardest to get done. Next thing, this PCV. Basically, I cut up the stock PCV line. There's this check valve. This is the external check valve. There are two check valves for the PCV system. You have an external one, and you have an internal one, which is inside the intake manifold, which everyone keeps saying, oh, check the orange ball, see if the orange ball is there. That's what we're talking about. It's the one that's inside the intake manifold. Alright, now again, this is heater, all-purpose heater hose. it works really well. I obviously need to shorten it and figure some things out, how to make it look clean. Everything pretty much bolted on in terms of sensors. Now the exhaust, that was a toughie. Brought it to one of our friends out in Troy, Missouri, to have a custom downpipe made. Okay, so basically we had the 1G DSM O2 recirculating O2 housing flange. Cut everything off of it because it was not going to work. It was going to point straight up, and that's no good for sound and, you know, practicality. But that's beside the point. So we have a 2.5 inch exhaust with a 1 3/4, I believe, a wastegate dump. Now this is a divorced exhaust housing, so we are able to have just a straight dump from the wastegate all the way down, so you can see it down there. It's dumped straight down, caught screamer pipe. Kind of cool. When boost comes in, it really opens up, and it's pretty loud. Yeah, I know I need to, you know, redo some things, get these hoses so that they're not touching the downpipe, and get that so it's not touching that. Hopefully it hasn't melted yet. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Alright, next thing, exhaust. Basically, this 2.5 inch is going straight down to my previous 3-inch turbo back, pretty much. I have a ZZP Whisper resonator in there, full 3-inch exhaust system, and basically just straight out the back. Fueling. Still waiting on some 60-pound fuel injectors. Right now I'm running the Bosch 42-pound Green Giant injectors. They work great, you know, especially right now since the boost is turned down quite a bit. Hopefully soon we'll be able to get the Siemens 60-pound injectors in so that we can start running some serious power and start running E85 again, which is this over here, the flex fuel sensor, custom built by me, with a harness, you know, going all the way over, looping over. Like I said, I need to fix some of this stuff because it's not, you know, really clean. 2 ECU pins, power, and then ground. I ground it to the negative part of the battery, just because, you know, it's a little bit more reliable that way. That's pretty much a semi-complete walkthrough of the build. Right now I am waiting on valve springs to go in the head. We'll pull the valve cover off and put some valve springs in, so that we can actually hold boost, because it's already starting to float at about 5,000 RPM, which is no good. We're waiting on those. We're waiting on the injectors and a fuel pump. We have a fuel pump all lined up. I'm not going to say what it is right now to try and keep the tension, you know, the surprise. But that's all ready to go, and then need to rebuild the manifold. So that's pretty much the rundown of it. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is down there, you can't really see it right now, but the oil feed adapter from Walker Morgan Fabrication, MP Fab, and the same thing down with the oil return. He's got a custom billet, machined adapters for the oil feed and the oil return. So hit him up if you want to do that. This is my build. Making some pretty decent power. We're tuned down quite a bit to try and save things before we start doing, you know, a lot more power with these supporting mods. Yes, I am an automatic, auto tragic. Say what you want to say about it. Still needs some, still needs a transmission fluid. So getting that in the next few days. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. And see you later.